It is 4 p.m. We're bringing you the developing news and the stories behind the headlines. This is Storycon. I'm Regina Lay. And here are the stories we're watching this Monday, August 18th. MILF, or More Islamic Liberation Front Chairman Al-Hajj Murad Ibrahim, has issued a directive strictly prohibiting all front and base commanders of the Bangsamoro Islamic Armed Forces from joining any government normalization activities without approval. Other MILF agencies are also prohibited from participating. This directive follows a Central Committee resolution dated July 19th, temporarily suspending the fourth and final phase of the decommissioning process for MILF combatants and weapons. Senator Robin Padilla has filed a new bill requiring all elected and appointed officials, including the president, to undergo annual hair follicle and urine drug tests. Under Senate Bill 1200, or the Drug-Free Government Act, officials who test positive may face suspension or removal. The bill comes after his staff member Nadia Montenegro resigned amid allegations of marijuana use in the Senate. Montenegro, however, denied the claims and said that she was unfairly subjected to publicity trial, misjudgments, and bashings. Meanwhile, Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri and his staff have voluntarily already undergone drug testing, and Senator Raffy Tulfo has also announced that he will take the test.
Dami nagsasabi na may nagdodroga dito sa Senado, kaya sabi ko, dapat ako at staff ko ang unang magpa-test para sa pinagbabawal na gamot. Para sa ganun, baka maengganyo din ang ating mga kasamahan. Dahil ang gusto rin po natin, magkaroon ng drug-free Senate.
I already told my staff, my COS, na tomorrow magpadala dito ng taga-PDEA and pwedeng mag-witness yung mga taga-media. Lahat, starting from me, hanggang down, hanggang sa janitor ko, magpapadrug test kami.
The Commission on Audit has ordered a fraud audit on DPWH's flood control projects in Bulacan. Of the 548 billion pesos allocated for flood control nationwide since 2022, Central Luzon received 98 billion pesos, with Bulacan alone getting 44 billion. COA Chair Gamaliel Cordoba said the audit is needed due to concerns raised by President Bongbong Marcos regarding project implementation. DPWH district offices in Central Luzon have been directed to submit all relevant documents immediately and cooperate with audit teams at any time. And things got heated on the first day of the lower house's deliberations on the 2026 national budget when Navotas Representative Toby Tiangco challenged Appropriations Chair Mika Sansing to produce the report from last year's small committee meetings. Okay, joining us today, well, not right now, but in a little while, we've got Storycon's resident political pundit, Ronald Llamas, who's just stuck in a little bit of traffic right now. But also, let me bring in Philippine Star Editor-in-Chief, Ami Pamintuan. Hi, Ami.
Hi, Wedge. Hi, everybody. Happy Monday, everybody.
Tayo lang for now. I was hoping hindi ka naka-pink para hindi tayo matchy-matchy. Monday na Monday, Ami. Ang dami ng news.
Oo nga eh. Iniintay nga natin. Ang dami-daming ongoing pa, di ba? Yung mga sessions sa Congress,
Yes.
budget, and the President is in Ormoc, nagpuntang Ormoc, and Leyte, we're waiting for that story. So hindi pa natin alam yung mga final. Pero ayan na nga, si Nadia Montenegro, nag-resign na raw. Yan yung, at nagpapa-drug test na yung ibang senators.
Medyo confused ako doon kasi at first they said hindi siya nag-resign. 'Di ba? Naku, may statement na 'yon. And then later
She was told to go on leave.
Kaya nga, so the very first statement after the leaked memo about the marijuana use was hindi naman daw nag-resign. And then over the weekend
Pero ngayon yata nag-resign.
Yes, correct. And then suddenly now there's confirmation that yes, she did resign, and now she's saying that she was unfairly treated and bashed. And she flat out denies that she was using marijuana. Although, yeah, so...
Pero she had the vape daw, no?
Yeah, she had...
Nag-vape siya dun sa toilet. Bawal din yun eh.
Oo.
Yung vape law prohibits the use of vapes in all public places, especially government offices.
Pero of course, it's a lot more incriminating if it were marijuana, because for a
Ang
number of...
vape kasi, maraming vape cartridges contain cannabis.
Yes.
So, yan ang isa pang problema dyan sa vape law na yan. Lalo nung binaba yung age cap na ginawang mas bata. Yan ang sinasabi ng mga opponent. Alam mo, dami-dami mga vapes na meron ng cannabis or yung oil, yung active ingredient ng cannabis.
Yeah, CBD oil.
Yeah.
But again, the point as well is, okay, I think there are marijuana flavored vapes around. Hindi ko sure, but I've heard there are.
No, it's just marijuana.
And then yun nga, and there is, or more organic marijuana. The point is, the propriety of this, and the propriety of doing this while a Senate staff inside the Senate premises, working for a senator who is pushing for the age of criminalization to be lowered. Right? It's just there's a lot of
and remember,
issues
si
on this.
Robin Hood is one of the staunchest supporters of a former president.
Yes.
Who had an iron fist approach to the drug problem.
No mercy approach to
Diba?
drugs, right?
Yeah. Take no prisoners yan eh.
And here, okay, we are now graced by our political heckler. Pandit today or heckler?
Heckler na?
Today, heckler.
Heckler.
You're owning it.
I-heckle ko pa yung marijuana.
Sige nga, ano heckle mo doon?
Ayun nga,
What is your
binabanggit
heckle?
nyo yung mga contradictions, di ba? Isang contradiction dyan ay isang ex-convict si Senator Robin Hood Padilla. Di ba? Tapos ngayon, may batas laban sa marijuana. Yung isang staff niya,
And vaping in public.
ginawa ito mismo sa Senado. Di ba? Dati nga, nagkaroon na ng problema dun sa wife niya na naggugulat na tayon.
The drip.
Vitamin C lang
Sa
daw yan.
Senado, di ba? Tapos yung bilanggit nga ni Ami na sasabihin ko sana, murderous nung campaign ng kanyang idol na si Digong na nasa ICC ngayon for crimes against humanity. It was
Pinupuntahan pa nga niya ron eh.
It was an anti-drug campaign, no? So yun yung isang aspeto nito, yung impunity na pwede mong gawin ito sa gitna ng Senado. Habang yung yung boss mo, ito yung kanyang pinanggagalingan, no? At ito yung kanyang advocacy. No? Tapos ganyan pala yung mga staff mo. Pero yung bigger issue rin, another elephant in the room ay ano ba talaga ang posisyon natin as a nation sa marijuana? Dahil may 3 bills na yan sa Congress na hindi nag-prosper sa Senado na to legalize medicinal marijuana. Dahil medical marijuana, dahil even the wife of the former president, the former wife, ex-wife, ay allegedly gumagamit din ng marijuana para sa kanyang sakit. Sa kanyang painkiller. So, at marami namang maraming studies na hindi naman addictive ang marijuana. No, kaya nga maraming bansa ay legal na ito Hindi lang sa Netherlands. Mismo maraming states sa Amerika ay legal na yan. At lalo na sa Europe, no?
In Southeast Asia, you have Thailand.
Yeah, you have Thailand. So, yun yung ikalawa na elephant in the room. Ano bang tingin natin diyan? Dahil nga hindi naman yan addictive, meron siyang mga medical functions, purposes, no? Ikatlo, malaki yung maibabawas niyan sa mga sindikato. Dahil illegal siya, maalala mo nung Depression United States, dahil ginawang illegal ang alak, no?
Nag-flourish. That's where the speakeasies came from.
Yes, nag-flourish ang mafia. Nag-flourish ang mafia. Nung nilegalize nila, nabawasan yung strength ng pan. So yun lang yung mga dikit-dikit na issues dito.
Yeah.
Pero definitely, yung nangyari sa Senado is about impunity. No? At dapat hindi pabayaan yun ganun. No?
Okay, let me put a pin on that conversation because I do have to read other news we have today. The lower house has kicked off deliberations on the proposed 6.793 trillion peso national budget for next year. House Speaker Martin Romualdez opened with a vow to scrutinize, question, and deliberate thoroughly the 2026 outlay. The Committee on Appropriations is now chaired by Nueva Ecija 1st District Representative Michaela Swansing. And first up on the agenda was a briefing from the DBCC, or the Development Budget Coordination Committee, which was represented by Marcos's CABSECs. That's Secretaries Amina Pangandaman, Ralph Recto, and Arsenio Balisacan. The DBCC members were quizzed on how they formulated the National Expenditure Plan for next year. But things got heated when Nabota's Representative Toby Tiangco, now part of the so-called independent bloc in the House, in his manifestation challenged Swansing over unresolved issues of the 2025 budget. He demanded that a copy of the committee report from the small committee last year be given to each House lawmaker. Tiangco has long alleged that the insertions in the budget happened during the meetings of the small committee, which is composed of a very small number of House members. Take a listen to their exchange.
Madam Chair, that's not acceptable. This is public records. Pareho pa naman yung COMSEC natin. At yan dapat linalagay sa archives. Do I have to read the rules again regarding archives of all documents? So ang daming violation, Madam Chair. Walang record, hindi binigay. Ngayon, it's not readily available. Walang record sa archives. Ano to, sikreto? Let's ask the committee secretary, where are the signed records of the 2025 small committee report? But if within 5 minutes wala yan, ibig sabihin wala yan, ngayon palang gagawa yan.
The small committee is subsumed within the Committee on Appropriations, and it is the Committee on Appropriations who's required to submit the committee report. In this case, the report and the output of the Committee on Appropriations is the HGAB.
No, it's not. The HGAB is different from a committee report. Just like any other bill, the bill is different from the committee report. There must be a committee report included to the bill. It is not one and the same.
The country's top business groups are urging the Supreme Court to reconsider their decision on the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte. The business groups are the Makati Business Club, the Management Association of the Philippines, and the Justice Reform Initiative, as well as the Integrity Initiative. It says in part, we beg the court to guard against the erosion of the constitutional design that can set aside the people's sovereign will. Our fidelity must always be to the principle that no one stands above the Constitution and no government official is supreme over the Filipino people that they serve, that they are rather sworn to faithfully serve. The business groups laid down 4 issues with the High Court's decision. It said, first, deemed initiated is not in the Constitution. Second, 1-year bar was not triggered. Third, the venue for due process is specific. And fourth, impeachment is to protect the people. The statement also goes on to say that the decision of the court as it stands sends a dangerous signal throughout the bureaucracy that abuse of power and corruption carry no consequence. If we fail to hold the highest officials of the land accountable, how can we expect accountability from those below them? To talk more about that, let's bring in Makati Business Club Executive Director Rafael Alonso Ongpin, otherwise known as Apa Ongpin. Hi, Apa. Thanks for joining us today.
Apa,
Oh,
nakamute
sorry,
ka.
you're on mute,
You're
I
on
think.
mute.
Yeah, just to correct my name, it's Rafael Alfonso.
Oh,
Ongpin.
Alfonso. I'm so sorry. My script said was it Alonso?
I don't even use it. Just call me Apa.
Yeah.
Hi,
Thanks,
Apa.
thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, po.
So first off, where is the statement coming from? I guess I'm curious to know what got you guys to this point that you felt you needed to issue a statement about the impeachment.
We were very disappointed by the Supreme Court ruling and felt that it needs to be challenged, but we're not necessarily the body to mount a legal challenge, like a motion for reconsideration or something like that. So we decided instead to make a statement, and this is a joint statement of MAP, ourselves, and JRI, or Justice Reform Initiative, and Integrity Initiative. So we are really very specific about what we feel is wrong with the ruling, and we would like the Supreme Court to reconsider. But again, it's not a legal challenge. It's simply a plea. Not even a legal plea. It is, a request for the Supreme Court to reconsider.
Mr. Ompin, you said you were very frustrated with the decision of the Supreme Court. How about the actuations of the Senate, from the delay to the attempts to dismiss it? Are you also frustrated with that?
Yeah, definitely. It's the Senate's responsibility to hold this trial. It's very, very clear in the Constitution, right? And they found every way, the majority of the Senate found every way to try to delay it or defer it. And of course, there are senators who were trying to get the trial underway. And we thank them and respect them for those efforts. But the other senators were disappointed.
Papa, your business groups normally issue statements on matters affecting the business community. In this case, can you tell us what might be the impact of this impeachment case on the business environment in the country?
We had issued a previous statement even before the Supreme Court decision, where we said, accountability of public officials is really key, to business in the Philippines. We need to have the rule of law, and we're asking for the rule of law to prevail. And part of that is the accountability of the Vice President for all of these public funds. We want to know where the money went. And it's a concern not only of business, obviously, but of the entire population, because, those are our taxes.
The investment groups have been saying, the foreign chambers have been saying for a long time that the weakness of the rule of law in our country is one of the disincentives to investment, and that's why we are actually lagging now behind our neighbors in terms of attracting FDI. Do you agree with that outlook?
It's certainly a factor. It's certainly a factor. Investors, that's one of the key things that they look at when they're looking to invest in the Philippines or any other country. Will they have a recourse to the law in the courts of that country? And, I think it has been a disincentive to this particular impeachment issue, has been a disincentive to people looking to invest in the country.
Aside from this disincentive in terms of investments, Mr. Ompin, what other dangerous repercussions or impact will this Supreme Court decision have on our country and our institutions if the Supreme Court disregard the motion for reconsideration of the Congress, of One Sambayan, of Akbayan in the next few days?
In terms of institutional problems, it's actually undermining the power of the House to impeach officials. And I mean, not just the House, obviously, but the Senate as well. So the Congress of the Philippines, because they're the ones who should determine if a complaint, for instance, an impeachment, articles of impeachment are deemed initiated or not the Supreme Court.
Apa, you said this has been a disincentive for foreign investors that are eyeing the Philippines. And of course, it's there's a bit of a disconnect there, because on the other hand, you also have the president's team, constantly going overseas, trying to sell the Philippines as an investment destination, right? But what kind of conversations are you having with foreign investors as outsiders, how are they looking at this whole impeachment play out?
Well, it varies by industry and sector. I want to emphasize that this is not just a concern for prospective foreign investors. This is a concern for domestic investors. This is a concern for big Filipino conglomerates and so on who need a rule of law, who need public accountability, because right now we're being shaken down. Our businesses are being shaken down by various government agencies. I'm not going to start a whole argument here, but it has to do with accountability and rule of law. Now, with regard to stuff like, let's talk about renewable energy. All right, renewable energy is a very rich field for investment in the Philippines because we're trying to redo our energy sector so that we're basically not going to burn coal anymore. We're trying to find other ways to do it. The problem is that this needs a very strong legal framework for the investment to come in. One example is offshore wind. We have to figure out how we can give these people a workable lease over essentially the seabed, which is a protected area, because without a hard lease, they can't get banks to lend them the money to do the project. The banks are going to say, "Oh, you don't own that." The government could take it away at any point, So you need a strong legal framework, and you need some kind of assurance that the rule of law will prevail. That's just one example.
Aside from the...
You mentioned you were being shaken down. Can I just clarify? Do you mean extortion? Are you referring to extortion?
I got to be careful here.
Or bribery? Are we talking bribery here?
Yeah, it's happening.
Or pressure, undue pressure. Okay, undue pressure.
Yeah.
That kind of thing on businesses.
Yes, and we're engaging with the government to talk about it, we welcome the president's pronouncements during the last SONA that he wants to fight corruption, and this is one way in which the private sector, we're going to join him. Let's make it happen. Let's really fight corruption.
Yeah. I remember at the start of the year when the MAP, or the Management Association of the Philippines, opened their annual meeting by saying that corruption was back at the top of their concerns. And it does, feel like we've reached a tipping point because business chambers don't usually wade into political issues. I know you've been very careful about that. Did I read that correctly? Have we reached a tipping point? Has it gotten more serious, the problem?
Well, okay. I don't want to make it sound like it's gotten more serious under this administration. All right? This administration has engaged with us to try and address the issue.
Yeah.
Okay? I think definitely during the past administration, it really became an issue. It was huge during the past administration, and that's what we're fighting now. Now, these different agencies and officials, and some of them are in the LGUs, they get away with it because there's no accountability. Accountability is not strong enough.
Aside from the major business groups which signed the statement, Mr. Ongpin, are there other groups with whom you are talking with, like church groups like the CBCP, the Council of the Laity? Are you also talking with the Catholic Educators Association of the Philippines, the CEAP, and other groups in relation to your statement?
Yes, we're always in touch with the CBCP, with PBSP, Philippine Business for Social Project. which the Catholic Church is also heavily involved in. And yes, the academe, we're in touch with all of these people. And while our statement speaks for Makati Business Club, Management Association of the Philippines, and Justice Reform Initiative, you know, we have taken under advisement what all of these other groups are saying and feeling.
Papa, you're aware of the ongoing campaign of the president against related to flood control projects and the contractors. Related to this, what does the business community want to see? I'm sure you are supporting the campaign, but what else do you want to see along this line, along the investigation?
Flood control is one of those hot button corruption issues because, you know, you don't see buildings, you don't see results, you don't see like dams, stuff like that. It's all, you know, dredging. I mean, a lot of the work is invisible when it's done. It's sewerage pipes under the road. It's, you know, all of that. So naturally, it becomes very, very easy to sort of co-opt, you know, and derive, you know, income from, shall we say? So yeah, we would like to really support the president in his fight against that, and it really centers on a lot of contractors. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say.
But what specifically does the business community want to see there? Because as you know, in every conversation we've had about this, one thing that's come out clearly is that it's a systemic problem. So it starts with the insertions in Congress, then trickles down to the DPWH regional units and through the contractors and so on and so forth. So right now, I know that there's an audit into the contractors, but also there was a bit of confusion for a time that because DPWH was supposed to lead the investigation into it, and you know, some people were pointing out that they shouldn't be the one to do that. Neither should Congress. Congressman Sandro Marcos himself said Congress shouldn't be the one to investigate itself. Specifically, what does the business community want to see here in order to really deliver the message that, look, we're serious about accountability?
Looking forward, we would like to see master plans for flood control that are open to the public, that you know, are stated and very, very clear what the projects are about, right? And therefore, the bidding for these projects, I mean, it's supposed to be totally clear and open, you know, but it should be a procurement process that attracts, you know, the big contractors. I'm talking about the sort of FF Crews and DMCIs of this world, you know, because these guys, they're the kings of big infrastructure, and they operate, you know, largely without all of this corruption. They've gotten to that size by playing fair, and would like to see them do these things, not these shady fly-by-night contractors who, you know, they were organized for the purposes of the bidding. You know, they have no track record and so on.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'd like to make it. I mean, contractors should make a profit from this thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it should be profitable, okay, but not overly profitable, and it needs to be, you know, scrutinized very, very carefully. That you know, there's no room for kickbacks and all of these things.
Mr. Ongpin, the budget process has started today. I think it's
Sorry. Let me close out the conversation about flood control first. Could you flesh out for me why the bigger contractors are being crowded out of the process? You said they should be the ones getting the contracts, but why aren't they? Where's the
They're
problem?
not even bidding. I mean, they're like, this is so dirty, we don't want to touch it, right? And it's small potatoes for them. I mean, you know, these little LGU flood control projects, it's a lot of trouble for not that much profit, right? So why would they want to get involved? They're doing the big ticket projects, but sana we could make it interesting for those guys, because precisely that's how you cut down on corruption. You have very efficient engineering and very clear execution, where it shows where every peso was spent and what was the result.
These issues of corruption, flood control is intrinsically related to the ongoing budget discussion today. In a way, it dominates the budget discussion today. Are you part of that open BICAM process where civil society are now being given the opportunity to participate and even not only study the budget but to suggest corrective measures?
Yeah, we have asked the speaker if we can participate in the budget. There is a different budget committee that includes civil society. So yeah, we're very interested in that. And the whole point of the 2025 budget is that it was shanghaied, hijacked by vested interests in the House who moved the money away from education, social welfare, and all of these other things which the Constitution says have to be the majority of the budget, and they moved it largely into local government infrastructure projects, and a lot of that was flood control, because that's where the fat is. That's pork barrel, buddy.
The problem, Mr. Umpin, is that that budget, that controversial budget, was led by the present leadership overseeing the present budget for next year. So with this same leadership, do you see any substantial changes in the way we do our national budget?
Okay, first of all, I want to say what's really important to us is that the 2025 budget, while being, hijacked by Congress, the reason we knew that it was hijacked was because the budget process was the most open it had ever been. And I really need to credit the budget Department of Budget and Management, led by Secretary Pangandaman, because we wouldn't have known. We wouldn't have known if it wasn't for her department. So, as far as the present leadership, the executive has done amazing steps to open this process and make it, clear to everyone what is going on. Now, the House leadership, basically, the president has slapped their wrists and says, I'm not going to sign a budget like this again. We argue that he shouldn't have signed it in the first place, but okay, that's water under the bridge. Let's make sure that the 2026 budget is, is social justice, at least.
How about the Senate, Mr. Ongpin? Because it was supposed to be a BICAM, and in a BICAM, it was the House and the Senate who was doing this budget or approving this budget. Like now, in this past month, it is coming out that even senators have huge insertions in the 2025 budget, and even the issue of the PhilHealth, the zeroing of the budget of the PhilHealth, it appears that it was the Senate who asked for that. So it is a BICAM, to say the very least.
Yeah, and senators were complicit in this hijacking. Okay, I'm sorry, but certain senators were, because the BICAM process isn't open. We don't know who they are, but this year we will.
Apa, are you optimistic of reforms by way of accountability? Is the business community optimistic that the actual reforms will happen?
As Senator Ping Lacson said, so long as nobody is being punished or charged, then this will continue. Because the best effort for reform is to show that this cannot be done with impunity.
Are you optimistic, Apa?
In a sense, I have to be, because
No. What's the mood in the business community? Okay, what's the mood in the business community? Because there's a lot of cynicism. I'm hearing a lot of it, even with this ongoing campaign of the president.
yeah, okay, sure. It's easy to be cynical, but I think objectively, one of the rays of hope or whatever is that this administration, the Marcos administration, has been very open and collaborative with us. And just the example of Secretary Pangandaman and her, her freedom of information initiatives. That's unprecedented. You've never had an executive department that has supported freedom of information like this, and that's a good governance issue, right? So we are hopeful, and we have lines, and we're able to have discussions with the members of the economic cluster, with other key departments and so on, and I think they're open to reform. A lot of these guys are from the private sector to begin with, so we trust them. We trust them to do the best for the country. And hey, politics aside, it's never mind what you think of Marcos or whatever, but this government, the executive department, has been very, very open and collaborative, and they have made some reforms that we wanted. Yeah. So yeah, we're hopeful.
Without sounding cynical, Mr. Orpin, but part of the executive, like the Department of Public Works and Highways, is by indication participates in this kind of corruption. And that is a key element of the executive. Last budget, they almost overshadowed the budget of the DepEd. And second, the very framework for this scandal of flood control, the thousands of budgets submitted by the executive to Congress, was by its very nature very flawed. How can you have thousands of flood control projects? That opens the doors for corruption.
Okay, true. Let's not blame everything on the top leadership of the DPWH, right? Yeah. These flood control projects are largely LGU projects. And look, let me cite my favorite example, Marikina. Okay? During the last typhoon, those guys, they spent a lot on flood control. It worked. Marikina didn't flood as badly as it, has traditionally. So somehow those flood control projects worked. It was money well spent, right?
Yeah.
So if you want it to work, you can make it work. But it's the LGUs, right? Working with the DPWH, yes. But that's it. Everything depends on them. If they want to make it corrupt, it's very, very difficult to reverse that.
But a lot of LGUs are saying that the district engineers have a lot of responsibility with these so-called ghost projects. It's not only the LGUs. Even the LGUs are reporting to the isumbong mo ang Pangulo that these projects are practically ghost projects. I'm not saying that the LGUs are not complicit. I'm just saying that the DPWH knows from the very start whether these projects are viable or whether these projects exist, especially the district engineers.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. There must be some complicitness in this. I still, stand by the thing. Ultimately, it's really the LGU who decides, you know. It's not the DPWH.
And again, in fact, working with LGUs was number 3 on MAP's list of top concerns for 2025. Funny that you bring that up. Corruption aside, what about red tape? I remember when Frederick Go was named Special Assistant to the President on Economic Affairs, there's a lot of optimism because he, was very vocal about cutting down on red tape. Has it gotten better?
Yeah, incrementally, I have to say it's gotten better. The whole one-stop shop concept, which used to be the standard for is it's slowly being revised, okay? Because a lot of the red tape happens again at the LGU level. I mean, it's now pretty easy to register a company with SEC, and then BIR and BOI, where there are incentives. All of those guys, national government agencies, they've fixed their processes. In particular, SEC, SEC, the last few SEC chairmen have really changed that process. Now, where the rubber hits the road is really, again, local government, no? And, getting a business permit, for instance, that's a process fraught with red tape. And, well, we're doing what we can to try to pressure the government to fix those things.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, the problem is the private sector is also complicit. They'd rather pay the fine because it's cheaper than doing things legally. I mean, pay the fine, pay the bribe, sorry. I mean,
Are there any bright spots in the Philippines by way of reducing red tape? Can you think of any place that could serve as a model, for example?
Yeah, I think there are, but maybe we'll release a report on that, and see what we can see what we can do.
Yeah.
It's a fight that's, I mean, it's decades old. I mean, since the first Marcos, they've been trying to do this fight.
Yes.
And PESA, diba? PESA and now TIESA, those are efforts to reduce red tape by taking away the authority from the local government.
LGU.
Yeah.
I agree, Mr. Ampin, that a large part of the problem is with our LGUs. A large part of our system where dynasties and cartels dominate happen on the LGU level. But we also have a system where the executive is very strong, where the president is very strong. And definitely that strength can be used, especially the control of the internal revenue allotment, to force LGUs to do what they should do. The DILG has a lot of powers of oversight with the LGUs, and even the budget ministry has a lot of powers in relation to LGUs. So if they can get their act together, the LGUs can really be pressured to accelerate reforms because of the very nature of our political system with a strong executive.
So there's,
The strong executive is a bit of a myth, huh? When Marcos made this promise during the SONA that he was going to fight corruption, the biggest question in the minds of many businessmen is agency. Does he actually have the power to do this? He's up against the local government units. And, since the last decade, local governments have tremendous powers, especially, with regard to the IRA, no? And it's the way it should be, right? But that takes away from the power of the executive to hold them in line, and it's very, very difficult and tedious. One of the things that we're contemplating on doing with the other business associations, is coming up with a grading system, actually, saying, okay, let's grade this city on ease of doing business. And we have, metrics and parameters and so on. The DILG is sort of doing that now, but
Yeah.
we want to do it from the perspective of the private sector. And, let's see how these guys do.
Yeah. Apa, is there any unhappiness or concern within the business community about the Philippines' debt burden, which is projected to breach 19 trillion pesos next year? And that's just a projection that's nearly 2 trillion higher than this year.
Well, it's still sort of within certain parameters of GDP. A lot of our members, for instance, are bankers. So, we like other people's money. We like stuff like that. It's only when your debt payments start to take over, to a level where you're spending your whole GDP on just paying back debt.
Yeah.
When you start to worry. We haven't gotten to that level yet. It's not alarming. Okay. I mean, yes, there's a high level of debt, but let's understand that if this debt is these funds are spent wisely, not in flood control, we'll have returns, and the government will be able to pay them back.
In
What
relation to
about the
our...
quality of education in the Philippines? Is that a major concern for the business community?
Yeah, sure. It's a major concern of the Makati Business Club, I'll tell you that much. And, that's one of the reasons we want the former Vice President and former Secretary of Education to be held to account, because we don't think she did that job very well. We're very happy that Sunny Angara was appointed. I think I speak for the membership of Makati Business Club in saying that we like him. We think he's a great manager. He's the right guy for the job. So I think he might be able to turn a few things around.
Mr. Rompin, in relation to our comparative advantage, like we failed to reach the higher middle income status, Vietnam has surpassed us this past 3 years in terms of economic development. In relation to our neighbors, is our comparative advantage improving or continue to deteriorate? Like as we discussed earlier, education, debt to equity ratio, etc. So ease of doing business. What's the status now of our comparative advantage in relation to our neighbors?
Oh wow! These questions are far beyond the original scope of what you guys invited me to talk about.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. We said in the past, look, 5.5% annual GDP growth is really an achievement. It's the highest in the region, But what's an even better achievement is that we've been able to tame inflation down to sub 2%. At 5.5% growth. That's really an achievement. So hats off to the Marcos economic cluster, Central Bank, Banco Central in particular. Thanks for being able to grow the economy that big with that little inflation, because inflation hurts the poor first. Okay, it doesn't really hurt middle class people. Now, our overall assessment, though, of this kind of growth is, it's the character of the growth. This 5.5%, unfortunately, is all rich people getting richer. It's not poor people getting richer, right? It's not bringing up per capita incomes. And therefore, we've got to try to direct our development, especially to the rural sector and to agriculture, because we need to make poor people not poor, maybe not rich, but that's what a middle income country is. When your farmers can afford to buy pickup trucks, All right?
Right.
That's our objective. That's what we want to do. It's not just the number 5.5%. We really have to have an equitable development.
Right. It's really all about raising productivity as well. I think that's a good place to leave it. And you're right, Apa. We're sorry. We did only mean to talk to you
Sorry
about
for that.
the impeachment statement, but you're saying a lot of very insightful things
Interrelated things.
that we wanted to flesh it out further. But thank you for indulging us, Rafael Alfonso Ongpin or Apa Ongpin of the Makati Business Club,
Thank you.
Executive Director of the
Thanks,
NBC.
Apa.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So, the only update to flood control today is COA is now investigating it. And suddenly, I just wanted to say this very quickly, suddenly we're seeing a lot of local government officials na nag-inspect din ng mga flood
Yeah.
control projects. And I'm
Akala ko
like,
all along COA was supposed to audit those projects.
akala,
Diba?
akala ko din. And also, I don't know what to
Mali kang hala pala.
I don't know what to make of this suddenly raft of local executive inspecting
Yeah.
the local flood control projects
Yeah.
ngayon lang and saying,
I think yung mga local executive na lumalabas are the ones na ang tinuturo nga is DPWH. Iba-iba yung ano eh.
Yes. Yung
Iba-iba, sa iba-ibang lugar, iba-iba yung in charge. Merong lugar na LGU, merong lugar na mas marami yung DPWH, in which case, yun yung sinasabi mo, Ronald, na mga district engineer,
Yes.
yung in charge.
Yes.
But in other areas, merong ding mga LGU talaga ang kasama. Yan yung mga marurunong, yung sinasabi ni Ping na mga layering, mga passing through, yung mga you're keeping the project cost down
Yes.
below 50 million para hindi ka ma-plunder. Yung mga ganyan, kaya ang liliit ng project.
Pero halimbawa ito sa Mindoro, kung pinuntahan ng governor yung flood control projects, hindi siya pinapasok ng mga security.
Yun na nga.
May
Meron
utos daw
mga
yung
ganun
DPWH na wag papasukin yung governor, no? Yung governor mismo.
Kahit sa Bulacan, di ba, sabi ni Daniel Fernando, hindi naman ako in charge ng DPWH.
Yes.
Yun ang sinasabi niya.
So kailangan natin
Merong mga lugar na DPWH, merong lugar na LGU.
there's a lot of finger pointing going on now.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
si governor nakakatawa, may tagapayong pa talaga when he inspected the flood control site. And of course, the cameras were all professional. He was wearing a mic and I don't know what to make of it. Suddenly, we're getting a lot of
Yeah. At panghuli,
voices.
hindi natin napag-usapan, sa budget ngayon, medyo may bakbakan na.
Oh, meron na.
Dahil yung campaign manager
aired it.
ng administration slate,
Oo.
bumanat na sa leadership
Oh,
ng
we aired
Congress.
it na yung
No?
si
So, admin versus admin yung bakbakan ngayon.
si Toby Chanco. Oo.
Toby Chanco. At malinaw kung sino pinapatamaan niya.
At least alam natin, may mga naglalabasan na, di ba? And remember, the small committee has been abolished.
It has, pero
Yung
Chanco is
point
asking
na yun,
for the report.
Yes.
Oo. The small committee report from last year na mukhang wala pala.
Yeah.
So we don't know who aligned, reallocated what money.
At bukas, sa privilege speech ni Ping.
Baka-related dyan sa pag-abolish ngayon.
Okay.
At bukas, sa
Ng small
privilege speech
committee.
ni Senator Ping, mukhang marami siya ilalabas.
Okay, that's all the
Yeah.
time we have for today. Thank you so much for for joining Storycon today. I'm Pamituan, Editor-in-Chief of the Philippine Star, Ronald Llamas, our resident political pundit. Join us again tomorrow, 4 p.m. for Storycon. I'm Regina Lay. We are One News, all sides, all the time. It's going to be a big day tomorrow.